What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. Joined as always by my co-host Jonathan Holder. Jonathan, what's going on, brother?
Man, we're just another day closer to kickoff weekend. It needs to hurry the hell up and get here. That's all I got to say. Man, I
Dude,
am ready.
there is no doubt. I am definitely ready for a kickoff, ready for some football that means something. I think this weekend we actually have some college football. Like I think it's week 0 of college football, so that'll be interesting. At least that'll give us a little primer, a little warm up. Um, but yeah, we got a good bit of things to get into today. First time getting together, like like an official like show capacity since the team has made some big moves. So we're going to get into that stuff, and then we got some other things to touch on. So, without much further ado, let's just get into it. First of all, talented Mr. Ripley is first. I think good job. We're proud of
Hold
you.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
What you got? What you got?
Just because it was first, but
That's right.
uh, you know,
But then Chris has a really good point. He says, "But did you hit like and share first?" So there's now a new dimension. Uh, like how Positive Day Way. First of all, I like the name Positive Day Way, and he's just like, "Go Falcons." That's right, go Falcons.
yep,
That's what we're here to talk about. And I think I might tend to agree. We're going to get into this today, but
yep,
Fred Butt says Rook is going to be a beast. I am I'll say this, after, and we'll get into a little bit deeper here in a minute, but um, I feel a little bit better coming out of this second preseason game than I necessarily did the first one.
yep.
So we'll get into that here in just a minute. But Tony says, JR/Jonathan, what's good? The weather's good.
All of it is.
Right. The weather's good. I had a pretty good dinner. I made some chicken Caesar wraps for dinner. So that was good. Um, I mean, the Lord woke me up another day. So I can't complain too much.
Nope.
Let's see. Joshua, our good buddy Joshua Mulvaney. I hadn't seen Joshua in a minute. He says, what's up, PP fam? He said, this defense is about to be on a different level. Right. Right. So let's just get into that aspect. Let's see if I got, well, I don't really have any banners made, so that's okay. We'll just jump
Don't worry
into it.
about it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
So since the last time we've officially talked and officially like been here show wise, the Falcons, have been the talk of the league because they made two pretty like sizable moves, something that you don't generally get to see this late in the offseason, especially not moves that have the potential on the surface to make as big of an impact as these two moves should make. And what we're talking about is the trade for Matthew Judon and then the signing less than 24 hours later of Justin Simmons.
Yep.
So now we have like each of those guys have practiced once with the Falcons. I went slightly viral for my standards for any of y'all that follow me on the X grams of the Twitter faces and all those jazz, because yesterday I tweeted out, I'm going to try to pull this up so that it looks halfway like I know what I'm talking about. All right, let's get this over here. And okay, so the Atlanta Falcons tweeted out this picture, right,
Yep.
of Matthew Judon. And my man is putting on his jersey and pads over a hoodie.
Yep.
Now, look, for
Crazy people,
context,
man.
I'm a large fella. Some would even, my doctor is going to fuss at me next week because I have refound some pounds since the last time we talked to her, right? So she's going to be mad, right? But I made the statement that I will never understand hoodies in the summer. Never, never will I. It don't make no sense to me. If it's above, if it's above 50 degrees outside and you got a hoodie on, I'm looking at you sideways. But I'm going to go ahead and call it. If it is like above 80 and you put a hoodie on, you're starting to get into the psychopathic like spectrum for me.
The only thing I can come up with is, you see people that go out in the desert all the time. Like a lot of times they're wearing like
Long
the
sleeves and all that good, and
sleeves
it's
and the
that whole.
hood,
Yep.
that whole
Okay.
get up to protect themselves from the harmful rays of the
And
sun.
that's okay. You see this right here. I got almost 80,000 views
Yeah.
on this particular post, which is stupid. Like it should never been viewed that many times. 387 likes. 5 people bookmarked this thing. Why? I don't know. 5 people bookmarked this. And there's 57 comments. 57. All right. One of the latest ones, and you see how it's like everybody's like, oh, it's conditioning purposes. A lot of people talked about what you said there, as far as like protecting yourself from the sun and all this other stuff. But I want to get to this one right here. And I ain't trying to put Lee Anthony James, whoever that is. I ain't trying to absolutely blast him, but he commented, it's an NFL thing. You don't get it because you don't play in the NFL. Really? Really, dog? I
No,
don't, I
no,
don't
no, really?
I said, thanks for clearing that up for me. No doubt. No doubt I don't play in the NFL. Good Lord. Anyway, all right. Anyway, so that was hilarious. That was a Chris says that was my burner. That was my burner. That's right.
Nice.
But anyways, okay. Not that y'all didn't come here and listen to me talk about my Twitter X feeds.
But that, like, I saw it blow. I was like, damn.
Right. It's like why? Why? It makes no it's this absolute nonsense. But anyway, so we got to see both Judon practice and Justin Simmons practice. But better yet, we got to hear from them, which we hadn't really gotten to do in an official capacity on Saturday when we streamed the game. So we got to hear from them and hear like some of their thinking and some of their thought processes. And Judon's was really interesting because of course they asked him about, oh hey, like, you because he made such that public statement of, hey, the Patriots got the most cap in the league. Why can't I get some of that?
Yep.
So you really felt like it was could potentially like be a money driven thing.
Well,
And
I
then
mean, we talked about it on Saturday. Like
right,
we thought for sure there was going to be we were going to hear very soon about an extension,
right,
something like
right.
that.
Because generally a player who is 32 years old, who is a productive player, you know, and is in a team like if they want out, it tends to be, money related. And so you figure we were going to hear something about a contract, which we haven't, and then we hear from Matthew Judon himself saying a completely like oddball take, not oddball, but a completely outlier take from an NFL player that
Yep.
says this team doesn't know me as a man and as a football player, and I can't expect them to basically pay me until I prove it. And that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
I don't blame a player for wanting to get as much money as they can. You have a finite amount of time to play this game. And so you have to maximize it. And I get
Yeah.
it.
I don't have a problem with, like, I wouldn't have a problem if Judon, in the conversations that he was talking when they were talking, just prior to the trade, and they were, making sure everything was copacetic. I'd have no problem with Judon if he was like, look, I need this. This is what I need to be able to do this. Right. Yes, he got injured last year, but like over the past 5 years, the dude's been nothing but
Rock
productive.
solid. Right.
And
Right.
even before that, when he was with Baltimore, he was really good. So his resume speaks for itself. And there have been some people that come out and said post his beware the red
No,
hoodie.
well,
Absolutely.
I'm just thought through that one of it because we were talking about Judon and I was like, I'll use it as a banner right now.
There you go.
Good. Continue. Sorry.
No commission on that, King. Just want to let you know. But no, the there's been some, I've heard some comments out there from like either former players or analysts or whatever that were just like, uh, when he said that, he was like, "That's it's kind of ridiculous that he would say that." Like, of course this guy's got this resume, and of course guys get paid based on resume. He should be getting paid more, this and that and the other, and I agree. And again, I don't have any problem when it comes to business. Like business is business, and let the man handle his money however he sees fit. Now,
Right.
do I like the comment that he said? Absolutely, because you would rarely ever hear it. But I loved when I read that. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
that's
it reinforces the idea. Then it comes out that we weren't the only ones in on it. It really came down to yet again us in Chicago, oddly enough.
yep.
Same deal with Montez Sweat. And Judon chose to come here. And so with that being said, like you add that with the comments that he made, um, it really like as a fan makes you get even more pumped that a guy wants to be here. Like as I stated before, in the side part of the stream on Saturday, of Terry making me eat crow, um, it really feels like if a player gets in front of Terry Fontenot, he can do like Terry can close the deal and um can do the conceal the business. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that we were concerned or like starting to get concerned because there was a pattern forming. And
Yeah.
so it's good to see that a a player of Judon's like stature, like his resume, like his mentality, he wanted to be here. Now, you can make your chuckle all you want to. It helps tremendously that you have a Kirk Cousins here.
Mhm.
And it helps tremendously that you have a easy schedule, like that you're in an easier division. So these things all help. Um, but then as soon as the Judon trade goes down,
Mhm.
it you get the like from his mouth himself. It seems like Justin Simmons had been in talks with Atlanta, or at least had been in touch. Obviously, he had visited, but then the Judon trade goes down, and he basically calls up his agent and says, "I get it done. I don't care. Get it done. That's where I want to be."
Yep.
And so that's two high caliber players that want to be here playing for your team. Like that as a fan, that has to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. When they have choices, and the money's probably going to be somewhat similar, maybe a little bit less here, a little bit more there, whatever. But the choices are going to be money wise, it's going to be similar. But I talked about it before when it comes to free agents, right? Specifically when it comes to free agents, and I guess in this case with Judon, he didn't get a chance to visit with us prior to, but he got a chance, that we talked to him and all this other jazz.
Right. Yeah. He was
But
given permission to basically interview us by the Patriots.
right, but specifically when it comes to free agents, like the money, like you can always like a guy like Justin Simmons can get paid no matter where he goes,
Oh yeah.
right? Whether he comes here, whether he went to the Saints, God forbid, thank God he didn't.
Oof.
But he goes and talks to the Saints, he talks to us. Uh, the stuff that comes into play are the things that we don't see. The things that we see all the time are the money value, like how many
Right.
years, what's
Mhm.
the AAV, how much signing bonus, all this other jazz, and that stuff is vitally important. It absolutely is. But a bigger, in some cases, what can be a bigger pull and can do that is the organization itself, the cult, like what he talked about, the culture. Uh, if you feel like guys are like super hungry about wanting to win, because we got to remember Justin Simmons, great. He's been a really good player. He's been
Yeah.
second team All Pro for 4 times.
Yep.
So uh, and he's had like the most interceptions in the league. I want to
Since
say
he's gotten in here. Yeah.
since
Since
he
he's
got
came
in the
in.
league.
Like
So,
individual accolades.
been there.
He's got it.
He has not been to the playoffs
Right.
at all.
It has that feel of almost we didn't trade for him or what have you. Oh, well, I can't remember if we did. Anyway, almost has that like Tony Gonzalez feel.
Yes.
Where individual accolades out the wazoo, but he was on bad KC teams that just couldn't get over the hump.
Yep.
Let's see here. Nighthawk Runner, we appreciate you. He says, TF stated that they started reaching out to Judon and Justin's agent at the start of free agency. Said they had been working to get them for months. I don't know if they were necessarily talking to Judon's agent, considering he was under contract, but I think that they were. I think it was after the public spat that you saw with Judon and the coach that I can't remember, Jared Mayo and Elliot Wolf. Like it was after that is when they said that they started reaching out to the Patriots. And I think that after all that crap that went on with Kirk, they were very clear to say they started reaching out to the Patriots, not to Judon's agent. But
they can talk to the Patriots all day long. They could, right. Unless the Patriots allowed it, which at some point
eventually did. Yeah.
But yeah, they couldn't do it then.
Alberto Milian says, "Hey fellas, what's good? JR, where can I find that Falcons belt, wrestling belt, ASP? I need to start talking trash." This was a birthday present that my wife got for me, and she found it on eBay. That's where she got it from. This is you can get this on the WWF website, but it's going to cost you an amount that is absurd to buy for something that's just you, for the most part, do this with. So go to eBay. I normally don't condone getting knockoffs, but yeah. Let's see. Roof 417 says, seems like Judon doesn't mind earning his contract this year. And yes, and that's like somebody was talking about it being like, oh, I think it was Florio's dumb butt talking about it was no, not Florio, it was Mike Lombardi on ESPN, who also I'm not a huge fan of. Talking about, oh, that's a huge risk for the Falcons. No, it's really not. And he corrected himself at the end because he's talking about, oh, well, if Judon does go sign somewhere else, they could possibly get a compensatory pick for him, which would probably, depending on what he signed for, would probably be somewhere in the third round market.
Yeah, if he comes out in balls and wants a huge contract and we're not willing to give it to him, he'll get it somewhere, and then we'll get a third round pick back.
Probably, yeah, potentially a third round pick.
And if we do what we hope to do this year, that third round pick that we get back is probably pretty close to the pick that we gave up. So,
King says, I have to say Terry and Raheem are geniuses because, like you said, JR, getting Kirk here makes people want to come here, along with Rob being a good players coach. Right? It's like you got to think about this, especially these like the Justin Simmons, the Matt Judons, who are entering the twilight of their career. Part of Judon's deal is okay, fine. If we're not going to be in a position to get a ring, then you need to pay me a lot of money. Because it's for a player, it's one or the other. Their legacy is either going to be built in the Hall of Fame, obviously with a good bit amount of money coming along with it, or a good chunk of money that they can then build a legacy outside of football. So being right now that if you're Judon and you're 32 and you're looking at the Patriots team and you're like, okay, it's probably going to be a few more years before we're really in contention, especially now being in the division. Oddly enough, the rest of the division has surpassed you, or at least half of the division has surpassed you. The Jets are still up in the air about what they really are, but the Bills, perennial powers right now, and the Dolphins look like they're perennial powers, and they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. So
they don't slow down until December.
Well, I mean, it gets cold outside, and
yeah,
right. The opposite of Eddie Goldman, which we'll get to here in a minute. But let's see. Oh, we'll say according to Tony Wright, or it says, according to Fontenot, Matthew Judon's agent and Justin Simmons' agent both live in the suburbs of Atlanta. Okay. All right.
So you could probably like quote unquote not talk to them
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
deal.
Nick's talking about like a no-fly zone, with our secondary. I'm thinking about dubbing them like the birds of prey. I don't know. That might be too on the nose,
I
but
think didn't Bates already call it something?
he called it as like the crash out crew,
Yeah, crash out crew, I think is
which
what he called it.
I don't know. Like
That's I'm not young enough for that anymore.
no, like there is some kind of connection there that I am, dude. Okay, on a complete other side note, I spent a good bit of time with a bunch of fifth graders, trying to help teach them.
They speak
And
a whole different language now,
oh
don't
my God, okay.
they?
Oh my God. We sat and had a 30-minute conversation in class one day and just talking about the differences in like lingo and some of the things that they were saying. I was like, y'all aren't even making sense, like at all. Like they came at me with something like the one that sticks in my head that was absolutely nonsensical was skibbity toilet. And I was like, what?
Oh, I've heard of that.
I've heard of it, but I don't like,
It's
and I,
a
and
it's a weird YouTube thing
yeah,
that
yeah.
apparently somebody's wanting to make into a movie and a TV show or
I
something like
have
that.
no clue. I have no clue. None. Don't know. It was.
I looked at the first episode of Skibbity Toilet and I was like,
Right.
and I'm down with like weird
Oh, I don't care. Like I don't care at the
nonsensical
end of the day,
stuff.
right? Right. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We like every generation is gonna have their nonsense. So I have no problem with it. But yeah, I had man, I
And
can't I come
we
walking
had
out of
Ren
that going, yeah,
and we had Ren and Stimpy.
right. Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm not acting like completely like blemish free or what I'm saying. There's I'm definitely don't didn't come out of that unscathed. So all right.
Bug gets in here with a Skibbity Toilet Riz.
That's right. That's right. They have the Riz in there with the caps and the no caps
Yeah.
and Joker was talking about a Sigma. I was like, Sigma? What? I'm like, y'all are idiots. Stop it. So anyway. Oh, here we go. Yeah, like Ren and Stimpy was sussy. Sussy. What is sus? Anyway, sus. But it was like you go back as an adult and
Yep.
watch Ren and Stimpy.
Yep.
Holy free holies, man! Like the fact had my dad stopped for 5 minutes and actually watched with that show, he'd have beat me senseless. Like he'd have just beat me for watching it. So anyway,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
oh
the
my
same
God.
thing. It's the same thing when you go back and watch like old Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff like that. Like
I don't
some of
know,
the stuff.
dog. Ren and Stimpy was horrible.
No, Ren and Stimpy was bad. But I'm saying like you see the best children's stuff is always stuff that the children can just watch because it's funny, it's brightly
Yep.
colored, it's whatever. And you can laugh about it either because of the slapstick humor, some guy gets bonked on the head with something or whatever. But then like there's an underlying something that you don't get as a kid. It's not gonna make an impression on you because it's gonna bounce right off you. But your parents can sit and watch it with you and just be like,
Oh, it's like, oh yeah, he's talking about Rocco's Modern Life. Okay,
yep,
do you like my Rocco worked at a phone sex thing,
yep,
and I didn't catch that as a kid. Like
nope.
by no stretch did I catch that as a kid. All right, come for the Falcons talk. Stay for the culture talk of the early '90s. All right, back to the thing that people might actually be here for. Uh, so we had a game on Friday.
Yes, you
No,
did.
Saturday.
Yes, you did. That one
You
too.
streamed the whole thing. I was there for the first half
I streamed through the third quarter.
through the third quarter. You streamed through the third quarter. I was there with you for the first half. But I will say this, like Tony Wright kind of sets us up. He says Eddie Goldman was with a single O lineman on him. It's over for that O lineman. You kind of started to see that kind of stuff actually like pop up because that was one of my bigger concerns after coming out of that Miami game was like, okay, yes, I get it. These are backups, but you still have to show that your backups can execute what you're calling, because that's your coaching, right? Because like your backups are going against their backups. So this is equal footing. I need to see, your backups actually being able to execute on what you want to do. And considering the backups are next in line for the future in a sense, because it's, even though Trice went down, it's Zion Loge, it's Rukaroro, it is Brandon Dorless. Like, these are the guys that I need to see start to make an impact, or at
Yep.
least make their presence felt to, in a sense, justify you picking them.
Yep.
Now, I'm not asking them to come in and dominate the game, but we need to see flashes. And on the second or third defensive play or defensive snap, it may even been the second series, but it was right off the rip, like, Rook has a sack.
That
And
was the first. That was the first.
was it the first series?
It was the very first series we kicked off to them. I think they got a first down, and then it got to third down and whatever. And yeah, he just went right by his
Yeah,
guy and was right in Josh Johnson's face.
right there, and just ate him alive. Um, hey, what's up there, Subway
Hey,
Eat Fresh? Hey, how you doing?
go Subway.
What's up? Anyway, um, uh, so yeah, let's do that. Let's do some 30 minutes into this thing. Let's do some ballers and fallers since we're
Yep.
finally getting to the game. So Willie Doc's baller was Natron Brooks,
Yeah.
and so like he balled out. His faller was Koo. Yeah, Koo, if he hits those two kicks, we actually win that game. Uh,
If he hits two of the three he missed, we win that game. If he hits all three, then we win it. More so. But
right. And then he says, honorable mention Blair. Blair had the one like bobble over the middle, but then he came up pretty big after that. And then side eye not playing Penix. Okay, we're gonna get into the not playing Penix thing. So
yeah, let's get through the game, and then once we get through the
yeah,
game,
we'll talk about that.
we'll
All
talk
right,
about that.
so my baller, I'm going to give it to Rukaroro. And not only because he got a sack, but because he made his presence felt. And I'm kind of curtailing that into, like I said, Rook, Zion, and Dorless. Like the rookie D line is my baller because they showed something, and that made me happy in that aspect. My faller in this game, I guess I will go with Koo, because yes, I get it. Get it out your system now, but missing 3 in one game, like, all right, whatever y'all was trying, y'all need to untry that, because like we got to get this stuff nailed down.
Yeah.
Honorable mention O line with the um actually having a little bit of a run game. So
Yeah.
that was good. And then side eye glance. I don't know. I don't really have much of a side eye glance this time.
Okay.
Uh yeah. So I appreciate you, Willie.
Appreciate you for the $3, Willie.
Yes, sir. All right. So what you got?
Uh, Baller. I'm gonna go with So you went with you kind of initially went with Rook, then kind of turned that into like the whole like the rookie D line guy.
The rookie D line guys is kind of what I was.
I'm gonna and we've already heard somebody come in and say they liked Natron Brooks. I'm gonna go with JD Bertrand.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah.
like that dude always was around the ball. In the running game, he was always where he needed to be. I don't know what I didn't quite keep up with him with regards to like coverage stuff, but it didn't seem like they a lot of their stuff they were getting was like with the exception of the big touchdown on the double move, a lot of it was like outside, either just little stick routes or something like that. They weren't we weren't getting beat like over the middle a ton. So he's probably doing okay there. But in the run game, that dude was
Yeah,
lights
he
out.
was. Yeah, he was diagnosing stuff very well.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, he's my baller. My faller. I think we're gonna make it 3 for 3. Coup. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you just
look,
can't. You just
I
can't miss.
yeah,
You can't miss three in a row, or 3 kicks from around the same range, on the same hash, in the same exact way 3 times.
that's what makes me feel like they were trying something different.
That's
You
very
know,
possible.
like something about like either the way they were holding it or what have you, because it was almost all three of them were very identical. And when you're talking about missing, like it wasn't like it was wide, left. They were just on the other side of the
Yeah.
upright. So I almost feel like he was trying something like a different technique that just wasn't doing it.
Maybe was he trying? Because I know he's had kind of an issue on that left hash, kind of falling, having things, hook on him a little bit to the left. So he's had that issue in the past.
Yeah. So
So I wonder if maybe he's trying something where I'm on the left hash. I've had this issue. Maybe he's trying to do a kick where instead of having it hook on him, it draws on him to go the other way.
and you notice
Uh,
like when it went up, like once it planed out, it was dead straight. You see what I'm saying? There
yeah,
was no like hook or slice, like draw or slice to use, golfing terms. So I do wonder if it was just some form of, hey, we're trying to adjust something, and it just
yeah,
didn't necessarily work. So I
yeah,
expect them to get it fixed. He says, Millie Mills, our good buddy says, Koo won't miss another kick until next preseason again. Watch. and it's probably like, if you're going to miss now.
yeah.
Like now is the time to be working on things. Now is
I
the
saw, I
time
saw,
to try something.
yeah, and I saw somebody on line that said, I want my kicker thinking they can make every single kick, and it's like because Kuz said something about like misses are going to happen,
Yeah.
and so what I want for my kicker is yeah, you want to make every kick, but you have to understand that misses are going to happen. Sometimes it's because you slipped. Sometimes
Right.
it's because a bad snap. Sometimes it's because of you get blocked.
Right.
Sometimes it's because
There's,
of any number of reasons why, and sometimes you just shank it. It
yeah,
happens.
that's it. And,
But have that short memory. Have
right.
that cornerback memory.
Wavy 2X says, and I do think I remember Koo said it was an alignment issue. Like I said, that's what makes me think they may have been,
Tinkering.
tinkering, trying something a little different. Who knows? Um,
So that he was my faller.
yep.
Uh, honorable mention. I'm gonna actually give this to the coaching staff
Okay.
because I feel like we came out in the first game and yeah, it was twos against twos, threes against threes, twos and threes against twos and threes, whatever. It was that kind of game, but you know, it just the energy that you felt coming out of the screen watching the guys play was night and day difference to me.
Right.
Like it felt like a much more energized team than it did a week prior.
Right.
And so I want to I want to give I want to recognize them because like that is a lot of that can come down to coaching
Right.
and getting guys up for yes they're pros, they shouldn't need it, but they're humans just like anybody else. So getting
Mhm.
them getting that type of energy out of your players is a thing on coaching. So I'll give my honorable mention to them. And side eye, if I had to give one, it'd probably be Malone because again, he didn't quite show up like on special teams. He was out there quite a bit. He had a couple of times where he was like pressuring a little bit, but didn't see anything like there's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah, and he was
So,
a guy that I was specifically like watching for,
yeah.
because I felt like he was going to get a lot of run in the game. And I'm about to pull up my like I'm the one that does it. I'm about to pull up that little cheat sheet thing I was telling you about because I want to double check and see exactly just like how many snaps Malone was out there. Like did he make a real impact as far okay, so defensively okay. Okay, remember week 1 or against Miami, he had a good amount of snaps and his stat line was goose egg
Basically,
across the board.
yeah.
Okay. So, he had 2 tackles, 1 assist for 3 total combos. So he at least actually was getting on
Okay.
the board. So I'll give him that. And so now let's see how many snaps he played. Wish they'd structure it a little bit different so I didn't have to
Yep.
scroll all the way to the bottom to get to the snaps. All right, let's see here. Where's old Malone at? There he is. Malone. He had 38 snaps, so he played 64% of the defense, of the defensive snaps. And then he played 73 percent of the special team snaps, which was 16 snaps. And I don't think he had
I think he had one tackle.
did he have a tackle?
I think the very first tackle was him. But I think he didn't have any after that. I think.
Let's see. No, you're right. He had a special teams tackle. So I mean, it may just be that Malone is a reserve player who is, ends up being a special teams guy. Which, I mean, that's going to happen. You hope that doesn't happen with a 3rd round pick. He was a 3rd round pick, right? No, I'm trying to remember.
I think so.
Yeah. So you hope that doesn't happen with a 3rd round pick, but who knows? Millie says Malone's just trash, bro. He says I
Hey,
wanted him to do well, but Buddy ain't it, I guess. And that's it's gonna happen. You know, I will say the first draft pick or the first draft class of Terry Fontenot is not stacking up too well.
no.
Let's see. Heyo, ATL Jet Jones
What's up,
with
Jet?
$2. He says, with the addition of Judon, Harrison will eat. I think with the addition of Judon, a lot of people are going to eat
Yeah.
because, with the addition of that type of effective talent, you're not going to be in the way they want to play with 5 across the board, depending on, doesn't matter if it's a, linebacker or whatever, they want to rush 5. Like they're wanting to play man up ball. So they should eat. Let's see. King says questions. Is Penix in the Jordan Love setup? Could he actually sit as long as Love if we are good and Kirk stays healthy? I don't see Kirk leaving in 2 if he's doing well. Oh yeah, everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion that Kirk is gone after a year or 2. But
Yeah. No.
if Kirk is playing well and is healthy and we are winning games, Kirk ain't going nowhere. If he's
I could.
effective, please.
Yeah. I could see. But then again, I mean, it all depends on how he feels. But I could see. Let's just say for the sake of argument, we go out and win the Super Bowl next year.
Okay.
Okay, 2 years. He will be 38 going into the season. No, he'll be 38 winning that Super Bowl. He'll be 39 going into the following season. Maybe he decides it's time to retire.
Maybe.
At that point, maybe. But yeah, I say if you're playing at a high level and winning football games, and there's no more injuries between now and then,
Right.
like and they have come out and said themselves, the Falcons have, like, the expectation, like they expect him to play through 4 seasons.
Right. They look at the end of the day, we have to us as fans have to get over the fact and the idea that the Falcons, as crazy as we may think it is, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether it's unorthodox, whatever, that they have absolutely no problem whatsoever with Kirk Cousins playing out his entire contract and the Falcons waiting 4 years to play Penix and not play Penix until he's almost 30 years old. So like that's they're fine with that. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, if Kirk Cousins is playing and still playing in 4 years, that means Raheem still got a job and Terry still got a job. And you know what I'm saying? And the offense is still clicking and moving. So
Yep.
no, I don't I don't think like KB Free says disagree. Captain Kirk has 2 years to win a Super Bowl or he's trade bait. No, no. I don't
If
I
he's
don't
if
think
he's
they
if
see
he's
it that way.
if he's playing good,
Yeah.
okay, and let's just say he's playing good, we get to the playoffs and then we lose games because the defense gives up too many points, but he plays well.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It's like
And then
it's
he
not
did,
a
yeah.
I don't see where they're not I know us as fans, we are conditioned to look at the NFL a certain way. But what Terry Fontenot, whether you like it or not, what they're proving time and time again is that they're willing to do the unconventional thing. That they are 100% willing to. They took a tight end at 4. They took, they kept Matt Ryan instead of taking a quarterback. With a new coach, you see what I'm saying? They are willing to do the unconventional thing as much as it might make us all crazy. You drafted Penix this year, and you played him what 16 or was it 26 snaps in the first preseason game, and said that's good. That's all I needed to see. And everybody is losing their minds. Like I said, hey man, I'd rather you play Penix just so it would make the preseason fun and interesting. Like
Yep.
not that I think it's going to make that big of a difference on him. Um, but
Well,
that's been go ahead.
let me say this. If we look at the last time Kirk Cousins was in the playoffs, and that was 2022, you look at that year, and if after year 2, if he goes out, let's say we get to the NFC Championship game year 2, so next year, and we lose out, we don't make it to the Super Bowl, we lose in the NFC Championship game, but his game that we played or his stats in that game were 31 of 39, 79.5% completion percentage, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 112.9 rating. Like you're telling me that you're going to go from that and say, "Oh, we need to move on and we need to trade him so that we can let Penix start now." Like, no,
They didn't. Again, I get everybody's traditional and conventional thinking. I really do. Um, but like Fred says here, oh nope, wrong one, not that one, this one. He says he's gone after this year, especially if we went. No, he's not. No, he's not.
wait,
He's not going anywhere
why? Why would he be gone after winning a Super Bowl this year?
unless he
Why?
retires
Yeah, now,
at
now,
36
now,
years
now
old.
if he
No,
now, well, okay, let's even put it this way. Let's say he pulls a John Elway. This could actually be a way I could see him being gone in 2 years. We win the Super Bowl this year and next year. Okay, if he goes out on top 2 years, well, the last 2 years of his career, which has been really good to this point, is I won the Super Bowl 2 times in a row,
yeah,
and I want to go out on top. I don't want to have to go through another season that doesn't end that way, right? Potentially. Now, could that happen? Absolutely. Okay, but you're telling me that he comes in this year. We take a team that was like what third in the division last year. We take him to win the Super Bowl this year, meaning that he probably played lights out all year long. He likely didn't get injured, and we're playing in and winning a Super Bowl. That he's going to be gone next year? No,
no,
there's no way on earth that happens unless he
no.
retires.
Right. Yeah. Like no, exactly. but Ed says goes into retirement. You like that? That's right. That's how he should go out. That's for sure. Kylan says Kirk definitely not retiring after this year. Um, when a player's close to retiring. Yeah, I mean, because like take a look at what Brady did. Like, he acts like, changes his mind on retiring and all that other jazz. Like, and he came down to Tampa, won another Super Bowl, proving to all the people that, it was him, not Belichick, especially after, what transpired in New England. That's what's going to be the narrative, even though he's never acted that way, like not publicly anyway. Um, and, but he still plays another year or two. Like these guys, like these high level competitors don't want to walk away from the game, especially if they think that they can win. Um, Millie says,
Oh yeah.
Go ahead." He says, yeah. If we go back to back bowls, then Terry and him are immortalized here for yes. They'll
Absolutely.
look. If we go back to back bowls, they'll build a statue of them two out front.
Hell, I'll even
And
say this: if you win one and then lose the second, they're still getting
oh, dude, if
getting them.
as much as I am a Matt Ryan stan and Matt Ryan homer, if Kirk Cousins brings this town a championship, it'll be Matt Ryan who. I'll be on here going, y'all remember Matt Ryan? Y'all gonna be like, who? Who cares about him? Just like the folks who champion Matt Ryan tend to be like, who cares about Steve Barkowski? I mean, it's so. Um,
Yep.
Dre says, honestly, Kirk wouldn't have to win a Super Bowl twice. If we could win this year, his trade value would be at his maximum. Should we capitalize on the situation? Only if Kurt asks to leave. You
Yes.
don't like if he brings a Super Bowl here, you don't then trade him to the Jets. Like at that point, I'll tell you this: if Kirk Cousins brings a Super Bowl here, he's more likely to play in a wheelchair because we're still like, yes, Kirk, you can have what you want because that's how it would be. And before you say, oh well, what about like Aaron Rodgers? Like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, like that whole situation soured after
Yep.
years of not making it to the mountaintop.
It's sour because like everybody knew they're like he needs like get him more weapons, get him more weapons, and they never would go out and get him more weapons until like the 5th or 6th round. Like they didn't want to go and do a first round wide
Because
receiver
he was
for
Aaron
him.
Rodgers and he could make a fifth rounder look like the, all world receiver.
Yeah.
And that's the downside. I mean, look, right now, you can say what you want to, but Mahomes is going through the same deal. Because and like he won the Super Bowl last year, and y'all can't name me a receiver outside of Kelsey.
Xavier
That
Worthy.
that's this year. I'm
I
talking
know.
about off that team last year.
Yeah, I know.
Like and so like he had to deal with it. So when you're playing at that elite level, yeah, you have to make the people around you better. Okay. So let's find Millie Mills. Rasheed. What's his last name? Rice. I'll do it for you. King said Rice. Smart Aleck. Anyway, gotcha. All right. Let's see. At JB3. Uh can Penix ask for a trade? I mean he can. He could come up like say after next year. And it's looking awesome, right? He could initially ask to be traded, and that could be something that they may explore. I would find that scenario more likely than trading Cousins off of coming off of a good year.
Yeah.
I would think that would be far more likely, which kind of segues us into the next part of this whole deal. What is your actual thoughts on Penix being shut down and not playing for the rest of the preseason? Do
So
you do you think if you were the coach in same situation, do you think that would be something you would do?
I can only go with the information I know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I see,
Right.
I would have played him. Okay. But again, I don't know what he looks like in the classroom. I don't know what he looks like on the practice field going
Correct.
against our starters, with our second stringers,
Mm-hmm.
or even potentially going against the starters with our defensive starters with our offensive starters.
Right.
I don't see that stuff, right? So I don't know where he's at in his development for sure. Um, you look at McVay. McVay doesn't play hardly any starters.
Nope.
McVay doesn't. Like there are different ways of doing things for different teams and different coaches, and they all have different philosophies and yada yada yada. There was a year where everybody talks about like Mahomes, this and that and the other. There was a year where Andy Reid didn't play any of the starters the whole preseason.
Right.
Like he did it. So like it all depends on like they have a better gauge on where their team is, or where their team is, right? Development wise, readiness wise, are they getting the right kind of reps? Are they getting enough of are they just getting enough reps in general? Um, you know, at the end of the day, they are the ones that know more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was talking I was talking to you before the show about this. If you disagree with Raheem Morris, you think, hey, you should have played Penix. By all means, you can have that opinion all day long and what have you. The thing, and I'm not gonna be like, I mean, I get it. Because I was looking forward to seeing him play again, like seeing him come back for a second week, trying to build on
like the progression. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to see how all that played out. So when we sit down to stream and all of a sudden we're like, oh, he's not playing. Oh, son of a.
Hey, now look, I kid you not. It took some air out of the like
Yeah.
the afternoon because I was looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
I put it to you like this, like from a standpoint, I agree with Raheem. I don't necessarily think that the preseason's all that big a deal. I haven't for a long time. And mainly because, as we all have said many times over, many times before, and we will say every preseason, oh, they're not game planning, they're not scheming, it's not it's not your actual it's not your actual scheme. You're going through some very vanilla stuff. Okay. I would rather you be working on the actual scheme then. If that's what you're doing at practice, is we're actually scheming. The defense is actually scheming. The offense is actually, trying to, like running the actual plays that we're going to be running. Those are things that I think benefit him more.
Yeah.
Do I think it's more beneficial for him to be out behind a second string offensive line that is doing their best, but then you have this other guy trying to really make a name for himself on the other side who might be going a little too hard and a little too far. Where at least on the practice field, and I think this is where Raheem comes in on it, is yes, you're going hard, but you're going hard still trying to watch out for your teammate.
Yeah.
It's just that built-in mindset of this is still my guy. Yes, I'm trying to beat him, but I don't have the mentality of I'm trying to kill him. You know what I'm saying? That you can then kind of have when you're going up against somebody else. So, with that being said, I think it's been a deal that's overblown. Unless you were going to let him play the entire game, which I didn't see that happening anyway. But unless you were going to let him play the entire game, one series or two series at the beginning of the game isn't going to do much of anything for him, in my opinion.
No. I mean, yeah, everybody talks about Mahomes has done this and Mahomes has played and all this other stuff. Like if we look at how many times Mahomes has thrown a pass in the preseason over a couple games, he has attempted a total of 18 passes.
Right.
Michael Penix did 16 in game one.
Right.
So if we're just talking reps, and we're specifically talking quarterback reps, which means throwing the football. If we're not counting just handing it off to somebody, then he's had as many reps in one game as Mahomes did in two.
Right.
So
now Willie Dog says Penix should have played only because he might have to come in for spot duty should Kirk get hurt. I understand the sentiment, but again, kind of like what Jonathan's saying here, those reps on then that preseason isn't really that much like any more beneficial to me than how Raheem's constructing his practice. Like I went down to the bins that Friday and watched it, and it was, Penix is thrown against the ones the whole time. And that means he's throwing against Jesse Bates. He's throwing against AJ Terrell. He's throwing against, Caden Ellis with Grady getting in his face. Like that's good beneficial stuff. That's good beneficial reps. And according to Raheem, they're going to basically have their tune-up game tomorrow at practice. It sounds like they're going to have like a full blown scrimmage, against themselves. So we'll see. Like we'll see how this season starts off. And again, like Kurt not playing. If you think Penix should have played, then you also probably think Kirk should have played. And Kirk himself said he wanted to play. So this is definitely on the coaching. So if they come out slow, then that particular dial is going to get turned up a little bit like it did the first year of Arthur Smith.
Yeah, it will, but he knows that. He's prepared for that. I'm assuming. And so at the end of the day, though, it doesn't matter. Fans can get all up in arms about any number of things.
Oh yeah.
And so again, whether he played or not, selfishly, did I want him to play? Yes, because it would have made doing at least, whether it was a couple series or the first quarter or the first half or whatever, it would have made that go nicer. Like it would have been a more exciting thing to watch. But at the end of the day, like it is what it is. And I still enjoyed watching that game. I still and I agree. When we came out of that game, I said it at halftime, and I said it again at the end of the third quarter when I signed off. I didn't feel bad coming out of the game the previous week.
No,
but I didn't feel like I didn't have any. It was, if we're talking like this is where I'm at. When I came out of the game, I was right there still.
Right, right. It didn't move the needle at all.
Right. Second game though, that needle moved up a little bit because
not only like so far we've really only talked about like the D line kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw in a preseason game more than one time a wide receiver standing wide open and called a ball for a big game.
Yeah, usually it was Chris Blair.
Yeah, it was usually it was usually Chris Blair. But still, like when was the last time we seen that? And like one of the ones that the first big game, because I was watching some of the all 22 before we came on, like you saw Chris Blair go into motion, run, backside of the whole formation, and come out the backside about the time it snapped, and nobody come with him, so that's how he's wide open. And that's using motion in a effective way. And so I'm really interested to see. Obviously, I'm really interested to see this with the full blown starters. But the fact that in the second preseason game we got to start seeing a little bit more of the offense, there was I wonder if I can find it. A tweet. Go ahead.
Well, and like it was, and what I talked about, about the previous game where like basically from the get go, from the first whistle to the end of the game, I could probably count on one hand how many times we went into motion on offense, and then same on defense, how many times we blitzed. Like we just didn't do a lot of either or stunts and twists and things like that. Like we just didn't do hardly any of that in that first game. Second game, at least early on, especially on the defensive side, we saw a lot more twists. We saw a lot more games. We saw some stunts. And then on the offensive side, we saw motion quite a bit early on. I think later as that game went on, we kind of dialed all that back because we saw less of it later on.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, I think we saw a lot more. And I really liked seeing that. And I think that was where we, if we had Penix in with those players, we maybe could have scored more and scored more points potentially. But
now here's an interesting thing for the folks who I don't know if y'all can see that. Let's see. There we go.
Yep.
So in preseason, this is just preseason so far. 11 personnel usage for any of y'all who actually care. Rams number 1 at 98%. Falcons number 2 at 97%.
Yep.
Schematically, like formationally, that is a huge departure for, like I said before, there were certain things that weren't going to go away from Arthur Smith, like the condensed formation type stuff. But then there's some things that are going to look different. And that right there is a huge shift from what we had seen before. And you're starting to see, at least in the Baltimore game, in a game where the team that you're playing didn't also then just practice against you for 3 days or whatever, the run game benefited from it. We had 157 yards rushing.
Yep.
I think, yeah. Pull that back up. So y'all know I ain't BSing because y'all are my favorite folks. So we had 151 yards rushing and 192 yards passing. So at 5.4 yards per play. That's
we only gave up 71 yards rushing.
Right. And so there was a lot of things to be like schematically, even if it is like twos versus twos, schematically that we should be, you could start to be excited about. Josh Gillum was going to throw a bucket of cold water on us. He says, we haven't made the playoffs in 6 years. Am I wrong to think the Super Bowl or bust aspirations are setting us up for failure? People are saying we're going to sweep the division easily. I just don't see it.
That is you being a responsible Falcons fan.
Right. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there is some, like, definitely some, like, overblown expectations. I do think that expecting to be contending for the NFC South is a reasonable expectation.
Yes.
Now, hear me when I said contending for the NFC South. I didn't say run away with the division. Like, but it's going to be, to me, it's a two-way fight between you and the Bucs. The Bucs brought back almost their entire team. And so now, granted, they lost their offensive coordinator. So does Baker Mayfield turn back into a pumpkin? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So
who is their OC now?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
I'll find it real quick.
Okay, but I know he was kind of in a way handpicked by Baker. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? If you're a Bucs fan. So I think it's going to be a two-way fight between us and the Bucs. And I really could see that it could go either way. It could go down to the last weekend. So, but I feel like a reasonable expectation is to be in contention for the NFC South. And if you get yourself into the playoffs, like anything can happen, especially if you get a home game. You could catch lightning in a bottle, and like I said, anything could happen. So no, I don't think for me it's not Super Bowl or bust. To me, it's what I see, what they have done with this team is, hey, we're tired of losing, obviously. We're tired of having a bad product. And Terry, the whole time he's been here, has been doing his best to try to live in two worlds. And that's win now while building for the future, which is in a salary cap league is tough to do.
Yeah,
So we'll see if this year if he succeeds. Hamilton says, I know this is a little far fetched. Hey man, that's what we're here for. We're here for the far fetched, right?
exactly.
He said, if the Falcons are successful enough, could you see Kyle Smith and Zach Robinson pairing up as a GM head coach for another team? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's a part of me that's like, I'm super glad that um, um, Raheem has made that quarterback room and offensive side of the ball as deep as he has with coaches. My hope is that when Zach Robinson leaves, because we're successful and because we're doing good, that the next person steps up, whether it's I think it's KJ Black or is it last dude? Is KJ Black? Is that one of the quarterbacks coaches? I know we have like a Doug Williams kid. I can't remember his name. His obvious last name Williams, but blanking on some of these guys' names. I'm hoping one of those guys can just kind of step in and keep it rolling. But I'm also kind of hoping that this new trend is a viable trend, which is a Bobby Slowick staying in Houston, a Ben Johnson staying in Detroit. Now you had Dave Canellis, jump at the opportunity to go coach the Panthers, but I'm really hoping that if and when somebody comes a calling for Zach Robinson, especially if it's after the first year, maybe he's like, let me get a little bit more, experience, realizing that in this day and age, if you continue to pilot a successful offense, they'll keep on coming. The jobs will keep on coming.
Yeah, they will.
And you can be a little choosier,
Yeah.
than just taking the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the somebody who was it here? Willie says it here. For me and for Willie, it's playoff appearance or bust is kind of where I'm at. Like I just want to, and what I love for it to be a playoff appearance with a home playoff game because we won the division, absolutely. But if we're in as a wild card, we're in as a wild card. I don't care how I honestly don't care how we get in. I just want to get in because once you're there, then you have yes, are there going to be favorites? Yes, are there going to be teams that people are going to say are better than you? Yes, all of that stuff happens. But everybody once you get there, everybody has the same chance. You go out and you play ball, you play as good a game as you can, and you have every chance as anybody else.
You just want to see it at the dance, or you just want to take it to the dance. If you can get in the dance, who knows? You might snag the prettiest girl, but you got to get in the dance first. KB Free says, don't always agree with you guys, but love your show. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Hey man, we appreciate you stopping by, whether you agree with us or not. We thank you for.
Hell, I don't even agree with myself half the time.
I mean, I don't agree with Jonathan hardly ever. So
nope.
I mean, no, it's this is not a. You don't have to agree with us, right? At the end of the day, this is a really big version of water cooler talk, of being in your shop talking with all your buddies. Like we're going to have the differing of opinions, and as long as we can be, respectful about it, then I'm fine with it. If you start getting into the, name calling or just being belligerent, then I don't like, you can move on and go watch somebody else kind of deal. But as long as you're respectful about it, then yeah, I got no problem with it.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is this: we lost Calais Campbell?
Correct.
We lost Bud Dupree.
Correct.
Okay. I think if we're talking just production, then I think you're quite a ways to, if not equaling the production of those two guys with a Matthew Judon. Okay,
That's
now
right. That's the hope, right? Is that
right,
you're because they had 6 each, and
yep,
Judon for the most part has been a consistent double digit sack guy.
yeah,
So
likely would have been that last year if he doesn't get injured.
right, right,
So if he gets 10 to 12 sacks somewhere in that, especially if he gets 12 sacks, he could. If we're just talking production wise, and if we're just talking production in getting after the passer scenario, then he completely, uh, uh, you know, takes shores up that loss in production
correct,
immediately.
correct.
But you get this guy out there and he's going after the quarterback, and if he's making plays, then that's just does nothing but fuel the other guys to want to make plays too. So the knock-on effect of having him on the team could potentially generate more production from other areas that we didn't get last year. So at the end of the day, if this defense can play very, very similarly to, hopefully somewhat better, but if it can play at least as good as it did for the vast majority of the season last year, and hold teams like we were holding them last year defensively, with what we believe this offense to be, with a Kirk Cousins at the helm, with the weapons that we have, there's no reason to think that this team shouldn't win 11 to 12 games this year. Because if we took 4 of those games last year, that we ended up losing, a lot of those were very close games. A lot of those were games where the defense was playing its ass off, was keeping you in the game, and the offense was just sputtering, couldn't do nothing, or could do very little,
Hmm.
and you still found a way to win those 7 games, and you found a way to just barely lose those other 4 games. Those other 4 games now, instead of losing, you're maybe winning by a touchdown or winning by 10 points or something like that,
Yeah,
because
I
now
think
your
what
offense supposedly is going to be way better.
well, not just that. I think you're better all around on defense. Um, I know you lost Bud and Calais, but I think the additions that we have made with Judon and now Simmons will
Oh yeah,
allow you to be much better on defense, allow you to do um, more disguising, which is sounds like what they want to do, which is what the defense is trending towards nowadays. But yeah, I mean, shoot, there were games last year that you scored 6 and 7 points and only giving up 20. So if the defense can be, if the offense can be just a little bit better, um, you're going to win more games. So we'll see how all that goes. Um, I will not. I think Jonathan might stream the game. Maybe not.
yeah.
I actually decided to go take the family down to the game this weekend since it's in Atlanta. Ran across some fundraiser tickets that allowed me to get down there for a more reasonable price. So I will actually be at the game on Friday night. But we'll see if any more awesome, exciting news happens. And if nothing else, we'll be back next Tuesday to talk to you about the game that transpired on Friday. And when is the actual cut down day? The
Um.
day after?
Oh, by the way, it was Liam Cohen is the OC for Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Gotcha. NFL cut down day. Cut down day 2024. August 27th.
Yep. So a week from today.
So a week from today. So next Tuesday, when we get on the show, we'll have a real good idea of who's the 90 man or who the 53 man roster is going to be. So um, I'm excited. We're getting that much closer to the season. Okay.
What
Chris
is
says
when is the kickoff?
7 o'clock is kickoff.
No.
Chris,
For the season.
season September 3rd, I think. I don't know. September 8th maybe. Chris says, you got any surprise cuts before you go? All right, surprise cuts. Now you can't just say, you know, uh, Dennis or Malone, because those wouldn't be that big of a surprise. I think James Smith Williams would be a surprise, given the way, and I could see them potentially doing that now with them bringing in Judon. Um, I don't, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. And the only reason why I say that is because he was playing in that second preseason game, so that means there was something they wanted to see there. Same thing with AK. So I would say James Smith Williams will be my surprise cut.
Um,
Who you got?
oof. Um, man, I don't even know. Because like it's pretty like anybody that I would put as a surprise. I honestly don't like. The first name that came to mind was Katavius Street, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's going anywhere.
I mean, that's a log jam room. Like,
It is, but I think if there was any concern over him, like I get the James Smith Williams one because he actually played
right.
this past week, whereas somebody like Katavius Street, I don't think he played at all. So I can see like honestly, I can see a surprise cut only because they're going to maybe try to stash him. Would be like a Zion Logue, like because I think he's looked decent for a
Yeah.
seventh round guy, and I think there might be some worry that if they do try to stash him, that he's going to get poached.
Yeah, he had some good push. He had some good push on in that game.
Yeah.
All right, offensively, who you got? We both did a defensive guy. Who you got for the offense?
I'm going to say a surprise cut for me would be Ross Dwelly.
Okay.
Maybe they know what they got in Dwelly, so they didn't put him in the game. They didn't really need to see anything more from him. Put Fitzpatrick in and have him play the whole game, and maybe they liked what they saw of him coming out of that game.
Maybe he did enough to maybe he pushed enough.
Maybe.
Okay. Sorry. So my surprise on offense will be Carlos Washington. For most of the training camp and everything else, he's at one point in time, Raheem compared him built similarly to Bijan and could do some of the things that Bijan does. And it seemed like for most of the training camp that he had that RB3 locked up. But we haven't seen Avery Williams. Avery Williams has been, as far as the depth chart goes, RB3. So it really seems like there's a battle for RB4 between McClellan and Washington. And this last game, McClellan averaged 5 yards a carry and had a touchdown. Now Carlos had a touchdown last week. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, depending on how this game goes, he might be my surprise cut. So
Yeah. Like I thought about going there, but like picking between Jace or Carlos is kind of tough because I mean they at least drafted Jace. They did, Carlos Washington is he a free agent or was he an undrafted free agent?
he was a sorry. He was a undrafted guy last year.
Oh, okay.
So I am trying to figure out what Tony Wright's saying here. Now, with Justin as one of our starting safeties, he better be suited at the strong safety, keeping Jesse at the free. I actually think what you're going to get is like a defense built at a too high safety shell where they're interchangeable, because both of those guys are not liabilities in the box. So you can rotate those guys up and back and do some different things as far as like post snap reads, which is again for a defense, the post snap adjustment is the equivalent of motion for the offense.
Yes.
So that's what modern defenses are doing nowadays, is trying to show the QB one picture, and then after the snap of the ball, it's something different.
Well, yeah. So now you can't have a I think the that yeah, if you're only having two safeties on the field, and you're talking in that scenario, we're seeing Bates and Simmons back there. I think either one of those guys could play box safety without too much trouble, and I think that's what you want in that scenario, because exactly like you said, now you can't just look up and see like, okay, where's Jesse, where's Justin. Okay,
Right.
Justin's over here. He's the strong safety, so he's gonna be
Right.
he's up there, but I know he's gonna come down.
And then
You can't pinpoint that until after that snap.
And then with as much as the Rams like to play one linebacker, that 5-1 look, that penny look. Now he says with Justin and Jesse at safety positions, Richie now becomes the wild card in certain formations that we could use,
Star.
right, as what they call the the monster man position, the star, the joker, the what have you. Yes, like Richie then becomes that. He's better at the line, like towards the line of scrimmage, where he's not reading top down. Like you
Yep.
could send him on blitzes and stuff. I expect Richie Grant to be that player if they either go big nickel or go dime, and have both D. Alford and Richie Grant on the field at the same time, and only have Caden Ellis out there, because with the football IQ and accoutrement of Simmons and Bates, I could see them going, big nickel or big dime, and have Caden actually walked up on the line.
Yep.
And so, and presenting that 5-man front like that. So,
Yep.
it could be fun defensively now with Judon and Simmons in tow. What was a concern is no longer a concern. Not as it was. And
Well, and just and if you do have a too deep safety look, that all that does is allow your corners to play more free, because they understand, like, if something doesn't go right for them and they get beat, they know that they're covered over the top, and they can feel confident in that. And as long as they're confident in that, then that just allows them to be more physical at the line of scrimmage. It allows them to be, take more risks in certain situations, but just play more free, as in general.
It should be good. I mean, we're probably getting out over our skis a little bit, but it should definitely be a good fun year. All right, folks, I think that's going to pretty much do it for us tonight. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. As always, y'all can follow me on the Twix Grams for at Grim 1128. That's GRIMM 1128. Jonathan?
At Jonathan M. Holder, come by, say hi.
There it is. And we'll leave Chris with the last sign. It says the ability to sky cover will make Mike Hughes an all pro. If that ends up being the case, then buddy, we have succeeded.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Like I said, I'll be at the game. Jonathan might stream. If not, we will talk to y'all next Tuesday after we talk about cut downs and everything else and really get going for this season. As always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.